super excited for this. We've been putting a lot of effort into this moment, so thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. My name's Drew, the founder of Stabledash as of this moment. The last 6 months, formerly known as Stable Studios. Today is a big day for us. We're announcing this new product, all about stablecoins, all about navigating stablecoins, and really excited to get into it today. I remember when Nick first announced this, like 6 months ago, it was like, is this actually going to work? Like, are people actually going to show up to this thing? But it's been an incredible, just like the buzz of this room and the buzz of what this has been great. So what we want to do in the next 15 minutes, give a quick background on my story and where stablecoins became really personal for me. This is the first time we've talked publicly about this business. We've mainly spent the last 6 months covering other businesses, other founders, but this is the first time we've really talked about who we are and where we're going. So a little bit about my background, and then diving into the problem that we're solving, the navigation problem, I call it. This is really where Stabledash as a product is positioned, and then we'll look ahead into what's next. So a little bit about me. Spent my whole career in payments. I've been working in this space for a long time, started at Block. My first job was cold calling merchants all day. I sat next to the global head of sales at Square, and so she overheard every single phone call I made, cold calling to these businesses. So I was forced to learn quickly. Really at Block, what really meant a lot to me in relation to this was exposing the traditional payments stack and how broken and fragmented it really is. So I learned and got a glimpse under the hood of how fragmented and complex that space is. Our first meeting when we were joining the firm, they sat us down in a boardroom, and we spent hours just whiteboarding out all of the different parts of what happens when a payment is swiped. And so that really exposed me to the complexity I think stablecoins really solve. That was also where I learned about Bitcoin for the first time, kind of natively became known at Block as like the Bitcoin guy. So any merchant that was asking about Bitcoin found their way to me. So it was kind of a fun learning experience to force myself to know what I was talking about. And that really led me down the rabbit hole. I then went to Coinbase. I spent a few years there building out their what we call Coinbase Commerce, which is their payment API, helping companies all over the world accept payments. And so I call this the vanity era, the vanity versus utility era. Sotheby's, Budweiser, Alo Yoga, if you remember back to that time, a lot of people were doing this just to kind of get their PR hit. But I learned a ton. It was a really, really fun moment. Toward the end of that experience, what we saw happening as USDC started to spike was that people started coming to us not looking for stablecoins just to accept it as a tender type, but as an infrastructure that they wanted to use to build their businesses on top of. Marketplaces, platforms, and we actually, in many ways, couldn't serve them, and so I kind of was looking for the next thing that could. Led me to Bastion. This is an incredible company. I spent 2024 there, really learning the infrastructure around stablecoins. A lot of the companies that are sponsoring this event and on these marketing materials were, spent a year getting a grip on who fits where, who does what thing. For those who actually look under the hood of the space, it's very complex. Who's doing liquidity? Who's doing wallets? What kind of custody is it? Who's fitting into the compliance narrative? I think this year of my life really exposed the opportunity that the stablecoin industry had and gave me the glimpse of where everyone fit. And then this happened. Stripe announced this acquisition. I think we've heard it a million times, at least in our neck of the woods. But for me, this personally was a big moment to go all in. This, for me, October 21, was a huge turning point in my story. And this, for me, was a moment that was, let's ride this wave, let's commit to this, and let's go build a stablecoin native company. The following week, that's what I did. We launched Stable Studios. I hopped on a plane to Money 2020 in Vegas. And this is a photo of me building the website on the plane as I was flying there. And spent that week really validating what it would look like to go build a stablecoin company, specifically for founders in that space. And I made this video that I'll show you here in 1 second that outlines the story of what's happened since that plane ride, of really the first 6 months into my founder journey personally. I've described this feeling to my friends and family as like building a business from scratch, bootstrapping something from zero, is like a plane that's trying to take off. You have limited runway, and you don't really know how much you have left, and you're just trying to get up off the ground. And I was telling my buddy this, and he sent me this video of a plane that, like a meme of a plane who actually did that. And so I used that to make this 30-second short film that I'll show you here.
What started as a go-to-market services business with a podcast to market it and meet founders has very organically turned into us being the primary place to navigate stablecoins.
Hey, this is your captain speaking. Thank you for flying your stable. Please keep those seatbelts fastened. As always, stay stable.
30 seconds. So I teased Stabledash there a little bit, but before we dive into the product, I think it's really important to outline the problem. The last thing I want to do is go build a business searching for a problem. How we came across this problem, I call it the navigation problem, was to actually market this go-to-market services business originally. We started a podcast where we sat down with founders in this space and spent about an hour every episode diving into their business. It's a show that we still want to invest in called Stable-Minded. And by doing this show, in my mind, what was just a marketing tool for the company, that in and of itself turned into really exposing this core problem, because the show sort of turned into the thing that people started leaning on to navigate and contextualize these companies, these founders, what they were building, which was the goal. And we started seeing all of these people begin reaching out to us. I'm building a business, loving what you're doing. Do you know any VCs in this space? I'm just wanting to start working in stablecoins. Do you have any companies that are hiring? All these different, I know you can't see them all, but we started getting inundated with all of this very dynamic exploration for people. And we began to realize the media that we were creating wasn't just a podcast, it was beginning to expose the true opportunity to begin to contextualize and distribute knowledge to help the world understand this industry better. And that's really the ground that Stabledash sits on top of, is a single thing that can serve and solve for that. The show is doing well. We've reached about 300,000 people uniquely. These are all very stablecoin curious, stablecoin native folks. We're going to continue, like I said, to dive into that. So Stabledash, the solution. Very excited to show you this today. You all are the first people in the world to see this, so really excited. This is a quick glimpse of the homepage of what we talk about internally on our team is the Bloomberg for stablecoins, sort of the vision that we have of bringing the world of media into the world of data and insights. And so I'd love to give you just a quick overview of the platform. I know you probably can't see it super in depth, but here are some core pillars of what we're trying to do. One, we're trying to find the best and the brightest contributors, people who are building their own businesses, who are experts in the space. I think we all see a lot of these thought leaders doing a lot of this posting on their own channels. So what we're trying to do is aggregate and bring in the best thought leaders to post and create content natively within Stabledash. The show Stable-Minded will continue to have that be native within the platform and serve as a really core engine, if you will, for knowledge. But this is really where it gets interesting for us. We're going to be building really the asset and yield database underpinning a lot of these assets. What I have experienced and what I think people are starting to see is that stablecoins as an asset class are very different than crypto, speculative, volatile assets. And what type of data I mean, you can see what Castle Island, Artemis, Dragonfly just came out with today. People really want this data. They really care about helping make sense of it, and we want to build a stablecoin native, stablecoin only place for them to experience that. Finally, underpinning all of it is actually a product we announced a couple months ago that we're packaging up behind the scenes here. We originally came out with this called Stable Guide. It's an industry directory, and this is going to be the profiling system, if you will, of companies that are being posted about, and I'll show you an example of actually what this looks like in practice. For those who have been following the space, I'm sure you've seen the variety of market maps and all the attempts to do this. I think our goal here is to be the authority over a lot of that system of authority. So looking ahead, I wanted to just outline actually what practically this looks like, and how all of these different pieces fit together into one example of many different experiences that you can actually navigate within Stabledash. So we've gotten really close with the M0 team. We're actually, our current podcast season is sponsored by them, and we're really diving into their ecosystem. So Noble and Noble Dollar was top of mind here. And really the goal is to tell the stories behind the data. Many people don't know, but Robinhood actually owns a company called Sherwood. They're in the media space. And Sherwood's really great. And what they've done that you kind of see across traditional markets and equities and stocks is this marriage of media plus first-party products, where you can go and read a news article and get interested and then click, and then you can actually be natively within Robinhood. It's a really, really beautiful user experience. You see this with Bloomberg and the Block, and there are all these different companies trying to do this, but there's no one that's done it for stablecoins. And so that's what we want to do here. We want to build a native place where this information can live, where those articles and those insights can be housed, and then we actually can have this opportunity for people who want to explore deeper. We can give them a pathway to do that. And so for Noble, for example, this is, in my belief, as more assets become issued, Noble in this view can be one of potentially thousands of different assets that will be tracked within this platform. But now you've natively gone to an article, you want to go deeper, you have access to this, and then maybe you want to experience more about Noble the company. Maybe you want to listen to a podcast from Yelena, or get a job at Noble, or explore deeper around who put money into their Series A, how successful are they, what are some client case studies they have. And you can imagine a system where all of this lives in harmony in one single platform. Finally, on the data side, something I think is really interesting is just on M0 specifically, a core belief that I hold and that I think we're going to start to see manifest is that more issuers and issuance platforms are going to start to arise. You see Bridge doing this, Paxos doing this, M0, Bastion. I think the list is going to continue to go get bigger and bigger. And what's interesting is that these issuers are only incentivized to track, market, and build data for their own assets. There's really no incentive for M0 to go build a Bridge dashboard or Bridge to go build a Bastion dashboard. And so for us, we really think there's a very important need to have a single third-party, objective third-party build something like this, where all of that data can live in an objective third-party lens. As we close here, just teasing a couple things that are on the way. We're going to continue to dive into producing content around the stablecoin industry. We just last week came out with the future of stablecoins in partnership with Artemis and M0. We're going to also announce the daily yield next week. It's going to be a weekly live stream just dedicated to the asset side of stablecoins. And there are many other things that we have planned that we don't have time for yet, but stabledash.com is live. You can go and put first access, your email in for first access. What we're going to do is for the next 24 hours, we're going to really be tracking who submits in this time, and then create this Stablecon group, and continue to treat that group very, very nicely throughout the journey of this business. So go to stabledash.com. We'd love your feedback. Last thing I'll say is when we think about the people in the world who we're building this for, it's the people who are at this conference, the people who are building businesses in this space, who are professionally incentivized to stay up to date with it. So your feedback, your involvement, your criticism, whatever you have to offer is very, very valuable. So thank you for listening, and see you later.